Breaking news. Tensions are skyrocketing in the Pacific as Japan, long defined by its pacifist stance, makes a historic shift. The country has confirmed plans to acquire hundreds of American-made Tomahawk missiles, a move that sends a powerful message to China. This decision is a direct response to what Tokyo sees as an increasingly unstable and threatening security environment. For decades, Japan's constitution limited its military to self-defense only, a core part of its post-Webukui identity. Now, that principle is being re-examined. The purchase of Tomahawk missiles marks the biggest change in Japan's defense posture in over 70 years. Government officials call this a necessary step, pointing to repeated incursions and China's massive military buildup. For Japan, the time for hoping for the best is over. It must be prepared for the worst. Fishermen report more encounters with foreign vessels, and commercial pilots reroute flights to avoid military exercise zones. Diplomats scramble to de-escalate a situation that feels like it could spiral out of control. The Tomahawk purchase is just one move in a much larger chess game across the Pacific. Understanding this shift is critical to grasping the future of global security. The fragile peace in East Asia hangs in the balance. The main driver behind Japan's dramatic policy shift is clear: China. China's military has expanded rapidly, boasting the world's largest navy, advanced stealth fighters, and hypersonic missiles. This power is being used to challenge Japan's control over the Senkaku Islands, with Chinese ships entering contested waters almost daily. For Tokyo, this is an unacceptable violation of sovereignty and a sign of Beijing's aggressive intentions. The threat extends to Taiwan, just over 100 kilometers from Japan's southernmost islands. A conflict there would disrupt vital shipping lanes and could spill onto Japanese territory. When Chinese missiles landed in Japan's exclusive economic zone in 2022, the threat became real. Japan's old strategy relied on the US as the spear, with Japan as the shield. But with China's military growing, there's fear the US could be stretched too thin. Japan now believes it needs its own spear, the ability to strike back and deter aggression. The logic is cold but clear. Credible counterstrike capability is essential. The Tomahawk purchase is Japan's answer to this new reality. It's about making any potential aggressor think twice. This is the new logic of deterrence in East Asia. In late 2023, Japan announced plans to buy up to 400 US-made Tomahawk cruise missiles, a landmark decision. For the first time since WTWR, Japan will have weapons capable of striking deep into enemy territory. Prime Minister Kishida calls this a counter-strike capability, a major shift from passive to active defense. This required a reinterpretation of Japan's pacifist constitution, arguing that striking back is now essential for self-defense. The move is controversial, but the government believes public support is strong. Japan is also doubling its defense budget to 2% of GDP by 2027, in line with NATO standards. Tomahawks are a stopgap, while Japan develops its own long-range missiles and strengthens cybersecurity. The message to China: an attack on Japan will come at a high cost. Tomahawks allow Japan to hold enemy bases at risk, creating a powerful deterrent. This changes the strategic calculation for any would-be aggressor. The Tomahawk is more than a weapon, it's a tool for peace through strength. Japan is signaling it will not be caught unprepared. So, what is a Tomahawk missile? Think of it as a smart, self-guided flying bomb. It's a cruise missile with wings and a jet engine, able to fly over 1,500 kilometers, striking targets from a safe distance. Tomahawks use GPS and terrain-following technology to avoid detection and hit with pinpoint accuracy. They can change course mid-flight and even confirm targets before striking. The warhead is powerful enough to destroy hardened military targets. For Japan, this means holding enemy launchers at risk far from its shores. The goal: precise, limited strikes to neutralize threats, not escalate war. Tomahawks give Japan a credible, modern counter-strike tool. To understand today's tensions, look to history. China and Japan's rivalry is rooted in over a century of conflict and mistrust. Japan's imperial expansion, wars with China, and Webifort atrocities like the Nanjing Massacre left deep scars. After 1945, Japan embraced pacifism and rebuilt as an economic giant, offering aid and remorse to China. Economic ties grew, but historical grievances never vanished. In China, the Communist Party uses memories of Japanese aggression to rally support. In Japan, some politicians downplay wartime atrocities, fueling outrage in China and South Korea. Visits to the Yasukuni Shrine by Japanese leaders are seen as proof of unrepentance. Every military move is viewed through this historical lens, making de-escalation difficult. Mistrust and suspicion drive today's dangerous cycle. Despite new missiles, Japan insists this is about defense, not offense. The new doctrine allows counterstrikes only if Japan is under attack or faces an imminent threat, and only as a last resort. The goal is to neutralize threats, not to preemptively strike or invade. The self-defense forces remain committed to restraint and professionalism. Tomahawks are a tool to defend Japan in a more dangerous world, not to change its fundamental culture. Japan is transparent with allies, especially the US, about how these weapons would be used. Command and control will be tightly integrated with the US-Japan alliance. Japan wants to reassure the world. It arms itself to preserve peace, not to seek war. The principle of self-defense remains at the core. Preparedness is now seen as the only way to deter conflict. Japan's Tomahawk decision has sent shockwaves through the Indo-Pacific. China condemns the move, accusing Japan of remilitarizing and escalating tensions. Chinese media portray Japan as a US puppet, warning of an arms race. South Korea is wary, given historical grievances, and calls for transparency. Meanwhile, countries like the Philippines and Vietnam quietly support Japan's stronger defense as a counterbalance to China. For them, a more capable Japan helps uphold a free and open order. The US welcomes Japan's move, seeing it as strengthening the alliance and regional stability. Japan's new capabilities mean it can be a more active partner, easing the burden on US forces. This fits America's strategy of building alliances to deter aggression. The region is recalibrating as Japan steps up. Imagine the year is 2028. Tensions over Taiwan erupt as China declares a blockade. A Japanese oil tanker is seized by the Chinese Navy, escalating the crisis. Japanese and US forces move in. Intelligence spots Chinese missile launchers targeting Japanese bases. Under the old doctrine, Japan would wait and try to intercept incoming missiles. Now, with confirmation of an imminent attack, Japan authorizes a limited counterstrike. From a destroyer, Tomahawk missiles launch, flying low to avoid radar. They strike the Chinese missile launchers before they can fire. The immediate threat is neutralized. China is caught off guard. The attack is called off, and a window for diplomacy opens. War is averted, at least for now. This is the scenario Japan hopes its new capability will enable de-escalation through strength. The stakes are high, but deterrence may keep the peace. Japan's new doctrine is put to the test. Japan's Tomahawk acquisition marks a new era for East Asian security. Strengthening defenses and alliances could stabilize the region and deter aggression. But there's a risk of an arms race, with China and others responding in kind. The line between deterrence and provocation is thin. Careful diplomacy is essential. Peace depends on communication and managing perceptions, especially with deep historical mistrust. Can Japan convince neighbors its intentions are defensive? Can dialogue prevent escalation? The post-Cold War era is over. Great power competition is back. Japan's bet: only by being prepared for war can it secure peace. The world watches, hoping this gamble pays off. East Asia's future hangs in the balance.